I do this all the time. We are doing Rediscover Canaway in Europe as well, and that means we have a lot of presentations and Zoom calls because a lot of people are rediscovering it, are coming to look at Canaway, what we are about today, and what we have to offer. And together with the team in the US, we have made this schedule of frequent Zoom calls to make sure that we all know what's going on. What is it about with the products? What have we renewed? What is our science, the state of the science today? And how are we going to support the market growing and moving forward? As I said, I'm Peter Vergem. I'm a biochemist. I did my PhD in university studying the human eye and what it does. And, ever since that moment, I've been fascinated about the effects that the body has on our wellness. I'm a firm, strong believer that our body knows exactly what to do. But it's our responsibility to make sure that we are delivering the help that our body needs to be able to do that. And that is what we are doing also with Canaway. We are supporting our own body in the best way we can. And that is what we're doing tonight. And that's what we're doing for many, many years behind us. And we will continue to do that. Tonight, I'm going to be talking about our products, this beautiful plant called the hemp plant, and how I believe is going to help you become the best partner of your own biochemistry. And that is the key to our story tonight. Now, as you know, hemp comes in very different varieties, very different shapes. And Valerie yesterday evening said it so beautifully. A lot of people in this world do not understand that marijuana is not hemp. It's not the same thing. Here you see me standing in one of our fields in Poland, where we are producing our great products, our great oils, and our great cannabinoid extracts. And as you can see, it's a very different plant that you would usually expect to be a marijuana plant. It's very tall, it's very stalky, it's very fibrous, but it contains a lot of healthy phytonutrients, components that we extract from the plant in very special ways. And hemp has been a very versatile plant. We've used it for thousands of years, and here you see a couple of examples. In fact, last week, I was in Poland. I actually visited the hemp farm again, and I visited the production facilities where we do the extraction of the hemp plant and where we also perform the triple lab testing that I will discuss a little bit later during this call. On the left top corner, you see a building made completely from hemp. And Canaway has put forward a vision that the office that they're going to be building in Europe is going to be made of hempcrete. One of the many examples that hemp can be used. And last week at the visit in Poland, we actually produced hempcrete bricks ourselves because it was a great, experience to see how that is done and how easy it's done and how very environmental friendly it's done. Now, many usages, clothing, rope, fibrous materials, but of course at Canaway, it's all about the health benefits of the hemp cannabinoids. Cannabinoids is, in the meantime, a very common word in our society because there's so many places where you can actually buy CBD. And I say CBD specifically because I know it's mostly and only CBD that you can buy in so many places around the world. But CBD is only one of the components from the fascinating hemp plant. There is so much more in that plant, and we at Canaway know that and deliver many more phytonutrients from the plant, not just CBD. Sadly, a lot of competitors on the market just sell CBD, and that is really a waste of time and your money because it's going to be having a lot lower effect for your overall health. Our body is fascinating. Our body has a fascinating DNA-based biochemical structure. The code of our body is embedded in our DNA coding, and it means that it knows how to translate that code into fascinating biochemical structures. And having said that, I studied the human eye. That's where it started for me. It shows that the body built this fascinating structure where it can turn light that comes into our eye into visible images in our brain. But again, and the same thing as with the cannabinoids in the hemp plant, we have to help it. We have to make sure that it is going to be able to function. And for the eye, it's vitamin A. You can do anything you have. You can have a fascinating structure in your body, but if you don't give yourself vitamin A, you're not going to be able to see. And that is with a lot of these biochemical mechanisms that we have in our body. We need to provide the keys to switch that mechanism on. If you can't switch it on, it's not going to provide you the benefits that it can deliver. And tonight we're going to be spending some time on the ECS, the endocannabinoid system. This is a system that our body also has built based on DNA coding. And I call it the master of regulatory systems. This system is regulating other systems. It makes sure that it provides balance, with difficult words, homeostasis, and that homeostasis is controlling, as a master system, a lot of beneficial effects in our body. It's kind of the, in today's world, we are sometimes stressed. We're sometimes not managing all our biochemical systems in a big way together. And we need to press the reset button of the ECS. And that's what we can do with Kannaway products. Now, the ECS is a system that's been there all the time. We've just not taken care of it well enough. We have simply ignored it because we didn't know it existed. We did not know it existed because for a long time we deliberately did not use the keys to switch it on. And these are the cannabinoids. Cannabinoids are components from the hemp plant. We also have our own body production of cannabinoids. So we have two sources. We call them endocannabinoids and exocannabinoids, or phytocannabinoids. They have to come from both sides. But the latter part, the phytocannabinoids, we've taken out of our daily regimen for decades. It was really stupid. It was really stupid because our body could not do, as again, I said, what it does best. It could not regulate as a master regulatory system through the ECS because we didn't take it. We didn't know about it. So there was not a lot of research done in this field because, we didn't take the cannabinoids in our meals. And that has changed now because all around the world, the regulatory systems have changed. So cannabinoids come again into our dietary regimen. And it also means that a lot of research has been done to see how it works and what we can do to improve the regulatory effects of the endocannabinoid system. And this simply explains it quite easily, right? You see here a seesaw, a balance, and in our daily life, we can have stress, and that puts us off balance. And then the ECS kicks in and returns to the balanced situation. Even worse, if we also have pain, it's even further off balance, but the ECS takes care of that again. And immune system problems, the ECS is there for you. That's how powerful the endocannabinoid system is. It regulates all kinds of what we could call secondary regulatory mechanisms in our body. We just need to know about it, and we just need to take very well care of it. Now, Dr. Ethan Russo, a very well-known researcher in cannabinoids, hemp, and everything you can provide, said a very important statement, and it's how scientists speak sometimes, but basically it means researchers believe that the underlying cause of many conditions, especially those related to the immune system and inflammation, may be a condition called clinical endocannabinoid deficiency. Okay, a lot of words, but what it basically means is that, and I believe the same thing, a lot of health concerns that we face today, that we see popping up in our society, may be related to a disbalance or a malfunctioning endocannabinoid system. And, I can illustrate that. It's very simple to illustrate that. And this is a graph that I use for explaining the effect if you take care of your own endocannabinoid system. This is a life quality curve. You see on the bottom your age from 0 to 100. You see on the left hand the life quality. And this is how a typical life looks like. This is our life curve. It starts at 0 when we get born. It goes up very quickly to reach a maximum level at about 25 years of age. And then slowly, things start to deteriorate. We get a little bit of pain here. We get a little bit of problem there. And it goes quicker and quicker until you get to a state where it quickly decreases and, ending on average for most of us at 75 plus years. So these are the number of years that you live in good quality. Now, what is traditional thinking? Traditional thinking is, hey, I'm sick, I'm going to a doctor. That is at that point in life. Hey, you don't go to a doctor when you are 30 and you're kind of okay in the most energetic phase of your life. No, you go in that point because then you feel a serious sickness coming up. What does the doctor do? Gives you drug treatment, and yes, drugs work because they've been investigated. So you get a couple of good life quality years back to your life. That is old school thinking. That is thinking of, I'm doing well, I'm eating my food as I ever done, and now when it gets bad, I'm going to a doctor and get a drug. What you have to do is balancing your ECS earlier in life. Not wait until you're sick. Start doing it today. Start doing it when you're still in the top of this curve. And if you do that, the ECS is going to be able to manage to guide your biochemistry in your body so much better earlier in life, and that is going to give you an increased life quality and an increased lifespan. So adding many more beneficial health quality, life quality years to your entire life. That is the benefit of intervening, helping your body early in life, making sure that it can do what it does best. Now, it does that through receptors. Now, this is a very complex biochemical picture of a receptor, a whole bunch of amino acids and all kinds of chemical bondings. But basically what it is, it's a lock. A receptor is a lock in a door. And a lock can be opened if you put a key in it, a fitting key. And that is exactly the simplified version of a receptor. You have a key, in this case, cannabinoids, that fit into the endocannabinoid system locks. And by turning the key, you're going to switch it on and give your body the power to do what it does best. Now, we have two types of receptors, two types of locks in our bodies. We call them simply cannabinoid receptor 1 and 2. And they're all in your body everywhere. Yeah, I mean, they're in your brain, in your bone marrow, they're in your skin, they're all everywhere around your body. And depending where they are, that determines what kind of effect they have. If they're in the central nervous system, the CB cannabinoid receptor 1, you see that ECS is going to regulate your mood, your fear, your sleep, your memory, your Alzheimer potential risk of Alzheimer reduction, depressions. And if it's in the receptor 2 system, which are mainly in the immune system, ECS is going to be regulating inflammation and pain reduction. Now, this seems like a lot of different things, and that's also key to understanding what effects you're going to be having when you are taking additional phytocannabinoids, because it's not the same for everybody. Not everybody has all these problems. Some have none of them, some have one of them, some have two. So it means if you promote your ECS functioning by giving the right cannabinoids, you're going to be seeing different effects. Some people say, hey, I'm much more relaxed during the day. And that's all they experience. Some people say, oh, I'm much more happier. I see my depression changing. Or, I sleep much better. Or I have a pain reduction in my knee. These can all be different effects depending on the type of dysfunction you have in your body. Now, this is the most complicated slide I have, 3 of them, but I felt it to give a little bit of explanation of how these receptors work. In the middle, you see here the white one, the Pac-Man symbol. That's a receptor. And on the right-hand side, you see CBG, one of the cannabinoids in our products. And what does CBG do if you take it? It goes towards the receptor, it fits exactly into it, key lock principle, and it activates the ECS. That is what the traditional activation of the ECS looks like. But we also have more complex ways of how the cannabinoids regulate the ECS, because anandamide, as you see on the bottom right, is one of those own produced cannabinoids in our body. And that also binds to the receptor. And when it does so, it activates the receptor. But then we have this component that we call COX-2, which is a component that cleans up after the function is happening. So it takes away the anandamide. And so the effect is done, is over, right? It's a balance. It's activation, cleaning up of the receptors, reactivating again. And that's what happens all the time. I mean, anandamide binds, COX-2 takes it away. Anandamide binds, COX-2 takes it away. It happens also with other cannabinoids, not just anandamide. And then we have CBD, who is actually very smart. It blocks the COX-2 inhibitor. So it keeps on having the effect of the beneficial phytocannabinoids. So you can understand there are two ways of effectiveness. One is direct binding and suddenly an effect in the ECS, switching it on. The other one is preventing the destruction proteins, in this case COX-2, to be active. Those are two different subtle ways of activating the ECS. And that's why it's a very complex system. And that's also why you need multiple cannabinoids. I talked briefly about selling you, you taking only CBD. That's not good enough. It's going to give some effect, yes, but it's not going to be the whole effect that you can expect. Because the plant, the hemp plant, is so complex. We have 20% of the hemp plant phytonutrients are cannabinoids. And here you see a few: CBD, CBDA, which is a precursor form of CBD, CBG, CBGA, CBN, CBC. They all have their own specific effects for our body. And since we know now how to isolate those different cannabinoids, we can really zoom in on the effects of those cannabinoids. We can analyze the specific effects of the different cannabinoids. The other 80% of the plant are what we call terpenes. Look at that. There's so many terpenes. Terpenes are the components that give the plant its specific smell. And if you walk through a hemp field, like I did last week, you really smell the hemp field. And that's because of all these terpenes. They're not just exclusive to the hemp. They're also in other plants, oranges, for example, or other herbs on fields can have also terpenes, but hemp is particularly rich in them. And these terpenes do much more than just give it a good smell, right? They also have their own binding capabilities with our ECS, and therefore also have their own effect. And you see in the white a lot of these different things that it can do that has been proven to have an effect on all these aspects of our body. Now, why does the hemp plant have so many cannabinoids? Well, simply because, it starts all with CBG. That's the mother of cannabinoids. That's the starting component. If you cut the hemp very early, you're going to have a high concentration of CBG. But if you let it stand on the field a longer time, you're going to see CBG being transformed in the plant to other forms: CBD, CBC, CBA, other things. And that it gives you a tool to get the crop from the hemp field and zoom in on a specific extraction method so that you can increase the concentration of certain cannabinoids in your extract. That's a really nice tool. We want to have them all. So we have a mixture of different hemp crop times so that we can create what we call a broad spectrum hemp extract. There are different definitions, and I must say they differ a little bit between US and Europe. This is the European definition, but you get the gist of it. There are basically 3 levels of extracts, and we call them full spectrum, broad spectrum, and isolates. And if you look at the middle circle, the yellow circle, that's the isolate. It's just CBD. If you go to the shop in the United States and you see a bottle and it says 5% CBD oil, right? You see that, 10%, 20%. I bet you this is an isolate. What it is potentially even a synthetic form of CBD, which is just that cannabinoid. And yes, it has a benefit, but only one benefit, one thing. It is not what you would spend your money on, because you want to have the multitude of effects in your body from our broad spectrum oil. That's the second layer, the blue layer. So that contains CBD, yes, but it also contains the other cannabinoids and the terpenes. And then you have full spectrum, the green, which also contains THC, which is the psychoactive cannabinoid that you probably have heard of. This is not what we want. We don't have THC in our products. We specifically remove it from the extractions that we do with the hemp plant, because we don't want to sell psychoactive. We are non-psychoactive cannabinoids, but still the broad spectrum, so that everything other than THC is giving us the advantages in the products that we make. And you can analyze this. This is an analytical, what we call HPLC. Basically, it's kind of a fingerprint of a plant. You put in a drop of the oil, and you can really separate all the cannabinoids from the plant. that. And this is what we do regularly. I've seen it with my own eyes last week. You could really see all the peaks coming up, and every peak represents a specific cannabinoid, and you can even dive in deeper with terpenes. And then you can determine the concentration. The bigger the peak, the bigger the concentration. So we do this. This is what we call our independent analysis, and you can read about this. If you go on our website, you go to a specific product, you can actually download this data. You can see what kind of test has been done, what the results were, and on which batch, because we don't do it just once, we do it on every individual batch that we have in the marketplace. Now, why is phytonutrients, why do they have to be together there? And that's very important because of a thing called entourage effect. It's a bit of a complicated word, but what it means is that we have, if you have only CBD, you have one effect, that's it, and a small effect. But if you have all the cannabinoids and the terpenes, they're going to be working together. And that really augments the effect for our biochemistry. We call that also synergy, very simply said. 1 + 1 is not 2, but it's actually 3. They work much more better together, giving you a much stronger effect. And there is, a very good, there are many studies about the entourage effect, but this is, to me, the most convincing one. This is what they used. On the upper left corner, you see a pharmaceutical product called Epidiolex. And Epidiolex is synthetic CBD. So what you will often find in the isolates on the market. It is a drug that's been prescribed for epilepsy. Yeah, that's one of the benefits that has been proven that cannabinoids have. And CBD in the form of Epidiolex has been used in a study with children. And yes, it does have some effect because you see an epileptic attack reduction, the blue thing on top. For 73% epileptic attack reduction, you needed for Epidiolex 563 on the right-hand side, milligrams per day to get that effect. But if you take a broad-spectrum cannabinoid with all the terpenes and all the cannabinoids, like Pure Gold, you're going to only need 68 milligrams. See the enormous effect of the entourage effect? You are needing almost 8 times as much of only pure CBD to get the same effect as a mixture of cannabinoids. And that is a clinical proof, which has been published in Drugs, in the bottom you see the reference, which is a clinical proof that the entourage effect exists, is there, and has a great benefit. But the story doesn't end there, because if you look at the side effects, the bottom, you see that patients with adverse effects, 68% of the group that used Epidiolex has adverse effects. And that can be very different kind of adverse effects. Well, only 7.8% in the study with the broad spectrum cannabinoid mixture. So it works on both ways, both sides. You need a lot less to get a stronger effect, but you also have a huge reduction in potential side effects, all due to the entourage effect. So why do we need to take extra cannabinoids? Well, very simple. We don't take them a lot anymore. Yeah, we used to. 100 years ago, hemp was everywhere. Hemp was on the fields. Hemp was in our food. Hemp was in the milk from the cows that were fed using hemp. So we didn't know they existed, but we got it anyway. We got it through our normal food, so our body was working normally. That because of the prohibition, a long time we did not take external hemp. We only had our own cannabinoid production, our endocannabinoids, which is not good enough. So we were just missing out on a lot of these different cannabinoids. And, that's fortunately not the case anymore. So because we can now give additional cannabinoids in the form of our Kannaway products. And we've made many, many different products in our company. And here you see the classics. These are the classics, as I call them, because our company is, almost 10 years old, and we've built up such a very loyal customer base that I've experienced the benefits by taking these additional broad spectrum phytocannabinoids in their body and see the effects over time. So I call these the classics because they're still there. If you go on our website today, you'll find these things, and I know the numbers. I see that a lot of people, even though our company has been a long time on the market and there's a lot of competition out there, our products are still very widely sold and bought throughout the world, simply because people experience the quality, the benefit of the natural phytonutrient broad spectrum mixture. So these are the classics, but we haven't stood still. Of course, science evolves. We know more and more about the specific effects, and we've created more and more new products. Even though I'm going to go through one of the classics here, the classic of the classics is really Pure Gold. Almost everybody in this call will know Pure Gold. We have it in very different strengths. We have it, 250 milligrams, 500,000, 2,000. We have very different strengths of this product. This is the pure extract from the hemp plant with focusing on the terpenes and the phytocannabinoids. And we mix it with MCT oil. That is a medium chain triglycerides oil. I will talk a little bit about that in a moment. This is the basis product that everybody should use on an everyday. I take it every day very religiously in the morning and in the before I go to bed. So I take it twice a day. This is the product that makes sure your ECS does what it does best, and that for a lot of people have different effects. Here you see a string of potential effects people have reported and people have been proven in studies what it does. But for me personally, it really supports the reduction of stress. You feel relaxed, you feel focused, you feel, ready to face the day. I don't, for me personally, it does not reduce chronic pain because I don't have any chronic pain. See, a good example of, people who have that have reported effects of Pure Gold on chronic pain and inflammation. But if you don't have it, it doesn't mean it doesn't help it. You just don't notice that effect. Everybody has different type of effects. And it takes a few weeks. Don't expect this taking a Pure Drop 4 milliliters of Pure Gold once and tomorrow everything is better. No, it takes, of course, a few weeks. Your ECS has to get used to the presence of phytocannabinoids again before you experience the effect. But, it takes a while, and that's very normal, and you should expect that. You shouldn't overpromise that it will work the next day. Premium hemp oil is our raw hemp extract. So that's, the purest from the plant. There's only the THC has been taken out of it, right? Except THC. But everything else, not just cannabinoids, terpenes, but also caryophyllins, also other plant components that are not falling in the cannabinoid or terpene group are present in this product. This is the product you want to start with along with Pure Gold because it activates your resting ECS. We call it a stimulant of the ECS. Your ECS is asleep. Why? Because you haven't been using cannabinoids for a long time. So it's kind of, fell asleep, very simply said. And to restart the ECS, to tell it, hey, we are having phytocannabinoids coming in again, this is the activator of that ECS. We also had a very strong form. This is a very recently launched in the US market, the Gold Premium Hemp Oil Applicator, our strongest product. You can imagine we have the thick paste in it. It looks like a syringe, but you actually put it in your mouth. And it's a fully decarboxylated hemp extract, which means all the precursors of cannabinoids have been turned into the active phytocannabinoids. And we have 3,600 milligrams of cannabinoids in that product. A really amazing, strong, effective product. I don't advise to start with that day one. It's a very strong taste as well. Start with some raw hemp oil and then, introduce, if you want to have a stronger effect, the Gold Premium Hemp Oil Applicator. Then we have CBG. CBG is one other cannabinoid, another one. As I said, there are many different kinds. We call it the mother of cannabinoids. This one has been studied to have a very strong anti-inflammatory and particularly pain relief effect. And you also see a neuroprotection. That means that it keeps your brain functioning as it should be and protects your nerves because your nerves are particularly vulnerable to to oxidative stress, to damage because of other reasons in our society. And pure CBG is going to help that. It also has the potential to fight cancer. Now, I'm almost careful with that because that's very early research. But you see effects where tumor growth has actually been reduced if people take larger amounts of CBG. But this is not a claim at this moment, absolutely not, because science takes years to develop. I know it because I've done it myself many, many times. Then we have CBN, pure CBN, which is the sleep promoting cannabinoid. Another cannabinoid, a little bit different structure, but has also a different effect. It binds to the receptors in a different way. It causes a different type of effect. And this is what people use predominantly to have a better sleep, to fall asleep faster, to stay asleep longer. And that's what we see with CBN. And that's fairly recent research that has shown that CBN can do that. Now, Salve, we also have topical products. Salve is a bestseller worldwide because this is, and you see here the new Salve, because we currently you can buy on the website still both salves, but we had just reintroduced a new development of salve with triple the amount of CBD. Can you imagine? Triple the amount of CBD. It is a topical cream, a very thick balm mixed with Korean traditional herbal extracts. And this has an immediate soothing effect on your skin or scars or wounds. I've broken my leg a couple of years ago, and I had still a little bit of scar there, and sometimes it plays up, and it sometimes even bleeds. And if you put in salve on that, it has an immediate, very, very strong pain reduction and wound healing effect. A lot of sporters used it after going for a run, having muscle cramps. This is a very effective product. Or if you have a stiff neck or things like that, people have it with them because we also have it in travel size, so that you can always have it at hand and share it even with other people that we have that you may encounter during your day. Now, let's go. Okay, there we go. Carrier oils. That's another important topic. You can have the cannabinoids, great, but the carrier oil also plays a very important effect. And as I said, we use medium chain triglycerides mostly, which comes from coconut. Why is that? Well, it has to do with the bioavailability. Bioavailability is a difficult word for the amount of nutrients that you take up. Yeah, there's a very clear statement that a lot of vitamins, for example, you can take them, but you just don't really absorb them. So then they don't really do anything. You can take them, and they just pass through your body very simply. That's also would be the case with cannabinoids. A lot of oils, cheap products on the market have cheap oils that do not really benefit the uptake possibility of the cannabinoids. MCT has been clinically proven to increase the absorbability of the cannabinoids by factors. And that is a very important part. It also has its own health beneficial components, is MCT. We also have other things like raw hemp oil, seed oil, hemp macerate, jojoba oil. Different products have different type of oils to maximize the absorbability. Another key aspect when it comes to quality, don't just buy cheap canola oil with cannabinoids, only CBD in it. Yes, it may be cheaper, but you're not going to get the benefit that you're going to get from Kannaway broad spectrum nutrients. Now, we also have a lot of topical products. Yeah, here you see the two new ones. Salve I just talked about, with the triple concentrated CBD level for the pain reduction in your skin and your muscles. But we have two other components: pain relief, roll-on, and Hydrolux. These are topical products, and the left is a very popular one. Pain relief. It looks like a deodorant roller. Right? It's not deodorant, but it contains the broad spectrum cannabinoids, and also menthol. Menthol is a cooling effect, a strong cooling effect. Very popular with sport people because you can take this simply in your bag and when you went for a run or you do other things, you play basketball, you have stiff knees, you have stiff muscles, you can simply roll it on, and because of the movement that you make with a deo roller, it is going to absorb a lot and quicker and better when you are using that product. Hydrolux is a body lotion, a soother of the whole body. Also, again, with the broad spectrum. It has CBD, it has CBG, it reduces the inflammation on a lot of parts of your body. And, it's a daily product to use to soothe your skin. These are examples of benefits of increased research that we have done at Kannaway, so that we could come out with a whole new suite of different products. And we will continue to do so. You will see new products coming out on a frequency to keep up with the science that's been developed. The scientific basis is amazing. For me, that's very important as a scientist. I want to make sure that we are doing the right thing consistently. So I can say here, all products are broad spectrum. We do not have isolate products. We always provide all the phytonutrients, phytocannabinoids, terpenes that we have in the plant. We're always THC free. We are not at risk for showing up on any drug testing. We don't want to have the psychoactive effects. We provide organic farming. We've been certified in our farms that we are having organic hemp crops. Very important, particularly also in Europe. Our extraction methods are non-destructive. Seems obvious, but there are quite a bit of extract process that you get components out of a plant, but at the same time you destroy the fragile phytonutrients. We don't have that. We use sometimes alcohol, which alcohol is a very good extraction method. You mix it with the raw biomass, and then you pull out the nutrients which are soluble in alcohol. Then you evaporate the alcohol again, so then it's going to be distillated, and then you're left with the pure phytonutrients, and the alcohol can be reused again. We also can have critical CO2 extraction, which is a different type of extraction, quite complicated, but it's a different way of making sure you get everything out of the plant, but you do not destroy the components when you are doing that. We have triple lab testing. We want to know what's in it. We want to know what's in our products. We do the triple lab testing at the field when the biomass is there. We do it when the extraction has been done, and we do it when the ready product has been delivered to the warehouse. That is triple lab testing by independent laboratory. I was in the lab last week. I've seen it with my own eyes. It is a state-of-the-art way with all kinds of important very modern machinery and testing equipment to make sure that we always deliver a constant quality. We make sure also that we test for heavy metals, for herbicides or pesticides that are not in the final product. And finally, we are non-genetically modified. We don't use GMO, non-genetically modified organisms. Of course, you would almost say, but that's still a case with some of the situations in today's modern farming that they are not able to deliver that. We do that. We don't want to have that in our products. So here you see the triple lab testing recognized by us. We do it 3 times, as I said, and it also makes us possible to be delivering the qualified quality that organizations like in the left-hand side, the European Industrial Hemp Association, or a number of other ones, the right-hand side, the PDR, the Prescribers Digital Reference, expect. They will only take up a product in there that has that consistent quality, and we are able to deliver that and prove that it's there because of the triple lab testing technology. PDR, Prescribers Digital Reference, is a book that is used by doctors in the US. And it lists all the medications, pharmaceuticals, and it lists Pure Gold. Can you imagine that? Pure Gold, a hemp extract, is in there. If doctors look up specific health concerns, epilepsy, for example, they're going to be seeing the research that has been done with Pure Gold and with hemp phytocannabinoids, so they can use it. And Pure Gold is recommended, the only one that is in the Prescribers Digital Reference. I'm really proud of that, because that is the quality of science that I expect from our product. And that is really important for me. I wouldn't be wanting to be working with a company that is kind of not clear on its quality. I'm seeing that my camera is off. I'm sorry, but I don't know why that is. But anyway, it doesn't matter. It's not about me. It's about our Canaway products. And we want to make sure that we see that. People ask me, and last week I said it also on the call, are we still relevant? Because, we've formed the cannabinoid market in the US and around the world, but because there's so many competition out there. I'm dare to say we are more relevant than ever because we shaped the market. Others have followed us, tried to do the same, has reduced the quality in order to reduce the price, right? But have lost the benefits of the products. And we are relevant because we stick to our high quality broad spectrum cannabinoids. We include the terpenes, we include other products and from the plant in our products, and we make sure we test it and keep up the high quality for everybody who buys our product. So yes, we are in fact more relevant than ever because we are able to push out the crap that's out there in the market. That's my final statement, and I'm really proud to be associated with Canaway. Talk to your person who invited you to this call if you want to get more involved. And I'm sure we will be seeing each other many more often times on this Zoom call because I love doing this. Thank you very much for being there this evening.